I'm Stuart Miller, I'm co-founder and CEO of ByBox, and we have about 50,000 electronic lockers all over the world, and in the middle of the night we deliver parts into lockers. Since January 2000, just before the Nasdaq crashed in Silicon Valley, we launched ByBox. Turnover is about £72 million a year. We employ about 1,000 people. I'd say worldwide. That involves about 6 or 7 countries. Started in 2000. Growth in the middle period was very difficult and very rapid. Things have stabilised now. Personally, the biggest motivation for me to actually be an entrepreneur is to try and prove that I was capable of doing it. So it wasn't to get rich, it wasn't for anything other than to try and prove that I was actually capable of creating an enterprise and growing it. So there's never any view around scale or international or anything like that, and certainly not about lockers. I wasn't born with a passion about lockers. It could have been peanuts. I was just really interested to prove that I was capable of being part of a team that could grow a company. I was back in December 1999 in the first wave of the internet, before it crashed in sort of February and March. There were lots of people that were predicting e-commerce being the next big retailing boom. And like lots of people, it was very obvious that the delivery part of online shopping would be a big problem. So if you went in to receive what you ordered online, that would be inconvenient and costly. So it was really through personal experience, as a lot of new ideas are born. It's things that annoy you. And we just thought that lockers would be one good way of trying to solve the inconvenience and cost of delivering online retailing. Oh gosh, yeah, advice. The best piece of advice, I don't think it's from one single person, but the best thought is to always make sure you're solving a problem. I think too many ideas and too many businesses are founded on a thought of something being cool or interesting or an amazing piece of technology or something that might just be fun. But I think unless you are absolutely solving a problem for somebody, it's very unlikely that they're going to pay you. Probably the biggest mistake in the early days is not all playing to our individual strengths. So the sort of original team, there were 4 or 5 of us, and we were all doing pretty much the wrong thing. So I think, as always, it comes down to people, and your success or failure is absolutely driven by what you're doing as individuals. And certainly for us, we started out not really playing to the individual strengths that we had as individuals. So I think I'd certainly make sure, and also make sure your team's balanced. It's an obvious thing to say, but if you've got, and there's a great quote that it takes 3 people to make a startup successful: a dreamer, an accountant, and a son of a bitch. And I think you do need all 3 of those people. It's very rare to get all those in one person. I guess the biggest milestone, if you're honest, is survival. If you can get through the first brutal few months, first year or so, to get to the point where you are actually profitable and therefore the business is going to be sustainable. It's not necessarily a sort of a proud thing, but it's definitely something that's a very key milestone. In terms of the things that make me most proud in our business, it's without question seeing the people that joined us early on and watching them grow and develop through the business. And so now our kind of core exec team of about 12 people is fairly evenly balanced between those that joined us very early on and have continued to grow through the business and now hold very senior positions. And that makes me feel fantastic, because I think if you've got that culture that will support people and can grow them through to the point where they're still having a very key role, whatever is now 14 years later, that definitely makes me feel good. Yeah, it's a really interesting question, actually. It's not a very new answer, for me, in terms of creating demand for what we do, it's trying to get the right balance between obviously listening very hard to customers, and arguably in our core B2B part of our business, you could argue we haven't actually come up with a new idea for a long time. We just simply listen very hard to what the customers are telling us, with an attitude to actually do something about it afterwards. So in many ways, the innovations that we need to drive into our business, they're all out there. We just need to ask the customers and be prepared to do something about it. So I think that's a very obvious way to create demand, is to make sure that we're doing what the market wants. The balance is to try and make sure we also understand where the market's going next and driving that. And that's very difficult to do because initially when you're trying to launch something new into a market, whether it's a new part of the service or a completely new service in a new territory, the market generally wants to alienate you. They don't really welcome what you're doing. The incumbents don't like you. The customers don't understand it. So trying to get the right balance between listening to the market and responding to it, but also being confident enough when you know that actually the market's moving in your direction. You just need to persist with it long enough. I think that is a key thing. In order to sell what we do, I think trying to get that right balance is difficult, but it's definitely something we try to do.